Alderman Baker.
I need to hear back from the library on this because I think Bessie pointed it out, and I need to know. If we give them $500,000, which we have the money to give them, can they go and borrow the money? Because if we do it the levy route, I do believe that we're going to be stuck giving them 10 times $500,000, at least, maybe not 12. Because I think the state is going to skip us over. They're going to think it's already taken care of. But just a $500,000, I think everybody's home free, and it might be the best choice.
Graham?
I think Virginia made it very plain that we need $4.5 million to finish the project. That $4.5 million currently isn't coming through from the state. Therefore, we have to have some mechanism that the bank's requesting that we can repay that $4.5 million if the state does not come through. We expect the state to come through, and I think Virginia also made it clear that if the state does come through, then that tax is abated, and the library does not, apart from some incidental expenses, interest, legal fees, things of that nature, all of that money would be paid back. And the hope is that we don't have to levy the tax on a timing scale, so that we basically, as soon as the money comes through, we have no ambition to keep the levy in place. And that is a statement from the library.
How are you going to repay that back? You're going to write a check to every property owner that paid in? Because that
With
or
the
give them
legal
credit for
counsel that
next
we've
year.
spoken to has said that can be done. The abatement can be done. So, and that was one of the questions that we asked him from a legal perspective.
Because you will be getting that money whether you need it or not. So you either refund it to the county or don't take it and let them credit everyone for next year, or the check goes back to the people. But is that guaranteed? That's the
Director
question.
Haley?
Sorry?
Director.
I did speak to the county. These taxes can be abated. They said like mid to late March, we can still abate the tax. So if we know by then, the library can abate that $500,000.
Thank you.
But if the money isn't abated in time, where does it go? We don't want them to just spend it on operations.
That's not the goal of the library at all. If we get the money, we want to pay, excuse me, we want to abate the tax back. We don't have a goal that once you put a levy in place, it will remain. Once we get the money, then the legal counsel have explained to us that it could be abated. The practicality and the mechanism of it, I don't know, but it's not the goal of the library to keep that money if we've got the money from the state.
Thank you, Graham.
So, well, there we go again. I don't see the guarantee. They could just keep that for operations for indefinitely from now on, unless we've got some guarantee that if they get their money, that it comes back and the levy's reduced. Have we got something in writing from them, or can we force that before we vote?
So Virginia Cassidy said that they did discuss it at a board meeting. It is in their minutes.
But what forces you to do that? That's what I'm asking.
It's in our minutes. We also forwarded a letter, a memo from me on behalf of the Board of Trustees to the City Council dated December 10th, in which we indicated, quote, "The sole purpose of the levy is to access a closed-ended line of credit in order to address the budget issues created by the failure to pass the state budget and impending passage of Senate Bill 318. The levy proceeds would be put into an account subject to audit for the purpose of paying the interest and the costs for assessing the funds from a closed-end line of credit. When the remaining bond funds from the state of Illinois grant are deposited in the library's account, then the levy would be abated."
The resolution that was passed by the library, which appears on page 834 of the PDF, also indicates that which part of this levy resolution upon receipt of such committed but undelivered funds from the state will be fully rebated to DeKalb taxpayers by use of an abatement of this or future levies for said debt service on replacement borrowings in the interim period. So the resolution does include, at least the library board, their vote and commitment to abate or rebate tax levies upon receipt of the committed but undelivered funds from the state.
Is that good enough for us to end the abatement without them coming back to us any further? Is that, I mean, is that a signed legal, I mean, it's signed by its president, November 21st, 2015. Is that good enough? I need your opinion, Dean. Earlier,
That
you-
was a resolution that was approved by the library. The actual abatement of it would require a subsequent resolution by the library.
So it's not quite good enough to guarantee that the future library board might want to just hold on to that $500,000 a year for increased operation costs.
There,
The-
just as with any city legislation, there's not a mechanism to guarantee that a future body wouldn't do something different. Separate from this issue, a future library board could come back and levy a different amount based on operational needs, or levy a different amount based on other factors as they determine. This represents about as good of a commitment as you could get from a public body, but it is not something that I can tell you is unchangeable, just as legislative action by the city council is changeable.
Well, I think that, my sense is it's going to pass. I don't see enough objecting on the council, but what I'm worried about, and maybe it's not founded, and I assume we have enough representation from the library right now. Do you feel that this is a commitment that will be honored, that you'll come back and say, just as a formality, we want this abated, and we're keeping our word? Because we do have that letter as a permanent record, and the whole community is going to see, if you try not to abate it, you know, that you're going back on your word. So maybe just one verbal at the microphone might make us all, or at least me, calm down on that point.
The purpose of the memo from December 10th was to state our intentions for what our actions will be. To use the money to pay the cost of borrowing from a closed-end line of credit, and when we get the funds from the state grant, the levy would be abated. I don't know how to say that any more clearly, and it is in writing in our memo to the council.
Well-
And that's why we did it in writing.
Since I think it's going